Good morning on this Good Friday. It's a couple days before Easter. We get to celebrate our risen Savior. It's pretty awesome. Welcome to Conversations with Buddy. We record these podcasts at the Rec Podcast Recording Studio here in Keizer, Oregon. We drop a new podcast every Friday morning with a new story that will impact someone. We hope that someone is you. Please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, give us a review, and also share this podcast episode with your friends, family, and on your favorite social media platforms. We want to get these messages out to the people and impact the world one testimony at a time. This morning, I'm grateful to introduce you to my guest and friend, Nate Cooke. Welcome, Nate.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Man, dude, it's exciting to have you here, actually.
Yeah, this is totally legit. This is
yeah.
I mean, if you can't see what I'm seeing, I was totally blown away by the little mini studio here. So pretty cool.
It's awesome. I agree. Well, the Rec did that, so that's awesome. Well, hey, we're going to dive into some conversations this morning, just some questions, and learn about Nate. But before I do, I'm going to just talk about you and what I do know about you. I know you pretty well, Nate, but like I say to every guest, I'm going to learn something new about you. I'm pretty sure today.
Yeah, you bet.
And I'm sure if your wife was here, we might even learn some more stuff.
Ooh.
But she's not.
Good and bad.
So you got to be honest with me.
Good and bad.
Yeah, exactly. Good and bad. Well, brother, here's what I know about you. You're a husband. So who are you married to?
I'm married to Amika Cooke.
And how long?
We've been married for 16 years.
Perfect. Father of four.
Father of four.
Names and ages.
Going from youngest to oldest, we have Lenny, 2.
Okay.
Beckham, 6. Noah, 12. And Maya, 15.
It's so weird because I've seen your journey, and I remember when Maya was probably 6 or 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But I've seen the journey, and I can't believe she's 15.
She's 15.
Seriously.
So, even her and I were talking about that last night. Just how time just goes by.
Yeah,
you know,
you blink.
You blink in 10 years. So,
and part of the story will be, how do you spend the time with your kids? And we won't get into it yet, but we will. How do you spend time with your kids and really seize that moment? Because, like I said, it does. You blink and they're older. She'll be married before you know it. Sorry to say that.
Yeah,
okay, bro.
That's going to be tough. That's going to be a challenge or an adjustment.
Yeah. You're a business owner, commercial contractor. You're also a residential builder, a little bit. Yeah, it's not your main thing. You're a real estate investor. One of the things we're going to talk about today is kind of your journey through recovery, getting clean and sober from drugs and alcohol. You've been clean for 15 years. That's pretty amazing. You've been with Duncan Construction for 19 years, longer than you've been married. That's pretty interesting.
19 years. Just had that little celebration here a couple of weeks ago, so that's pretty cool.
That was really cool, dude. You love fishing and hunting. You love the outdoors. And I see I see all your Facebook posts. I mean, you encourage me, whether you know it or not, because you typically have one of your kids with you.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's when we first got married, it was it wasn't even a passion for hunting. And back then it was more of an obsession. It was every weekend me and my dad would go. Pheasant hunting would start April or October 7th.
Yeah.
We would start every Saturday, Sunday till December. And we got married, and we had this tradition that even as far back as I can remember with my mom and my immediate family, me and my dad were gone. The night before Thanksgiving, we're headed over east, and we're bird hunting till Sunday.
Yeah.
And I got married.
Yeah.
I said, honey, this is what I do. This is normal. And that only lasted a few more years.
Yeah, I know how that goes. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, wait a second, Nate. How about me?
Yeah.
How about me?
Yeah.
You talked about some of the earlier challenges. You went through a program called Teen Challenge in 2002, and I want to dig into that. That's going to be awesome. The journey to faith is going to be in the story of redemption. Really, this Easter weekend, as we celebrate Easter, man, the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, that's the story that you get to live out and what you're saved from. And that's pretty awesome. Well, let's just dive in real quick, and let's hear from Nate on, I want to know, were you born here in Salem? tell me a little bit about your parents. Did you do sports growing up? What'd that look like?
Yeah. No, I grew up about 6 minutes from where we're sitting here in Keizer.
So you're a Keizer guy. This is home for
Keizer, Whitaker, on to McNary.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad still live in the same house.
What?
Right now that I was 3, I think, when we moved there. So
Pause for a moment. Mom and Dad been married for how long?
That's a good question. Over 50 years.
It's crazy.
So
it's a great story, man.
Yeah, totally awesome story. And they're sliding into retirement and still doing their thing in that same house that we were going crazy on as kids. So pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But Keizer was my place. McNary, graduated there in 1993.
Okay.
So that's a bit ago. I'm coming up on a 30-year reunion.
Yeah.
That just doesn't seem right, man.
I know.
You
blink, here you are, 30 years later.
I mean, I walk by the mirror and it's like, I'm getting wrinkles.
I don't recognize that guy.
What's going on?
Dude, you still look good to me, man. You look like you're in shape. You comb your hair well. Me, I got more gray hair than I've. It's like, wow, it's interesting. But yeah, we all change, don't we?
Yeah, you bet. Life goes by.
Well, you've been blessed. Okay, what sports did you do growing up?
I wasn't really a sports guy. I was. I mean, I played a little league. Tried to play baseball. Loved baseball. I wasn't a talented athlete.
Okay.
My son Noah, kid's gifted. He's like an amazing baseball player, football player. I mean, he's just gifted. And I was the opposite of that. I would have liked to have been the guy hitting dingers at McNary, but that just wasn't me. I mean, I wrestled until my junior year, but I really wasn't an athlete. I was definitely searching for something to give my life meaning, even though we grew up in a Christian home. In fact, it was pretty rigid. Not that was a bad thing, but it was like, super conservative. You don't do this. We don't watch that. We don't listen to this kind of music. We're at church 3 days a week. It was a little bit, pretty intense.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I mean, it made an impact on me. But even though that was, an important piece of our family, I was still out kind of trying to find my way and fill, just fill my life with something because it wasn't sports.
Yeah.
I wasn't the super cool guy at school that had I had friends but I just, I was trying to find something, and it wasn't girls, because back then I didn't really, I wasn't the guy that was getting all the girls. So I was just kind of roaming, trying to find that thing that would scratch my itch, that would fill my life, that would give me a little bit of meaning. And it's so funny because I remember, I think I had my driver's license. I was at I think it was a junior in high school, 16. I still remember to the day I was at Bobby's party after the football game, and Bobby walks up and gives me a beer.
Yeah.
And I cracked that thing open.
And how old are you right now?
16.
You're 16. You never drank a beer before in your life?
I had, but family event where maybe the cousins have something.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a part
Dad
of
and Mom weren't letting that
gosh.
happen.
Yeah,
No. Cousins, yes. Mom and Dad, no.
So, I slam that beer, and I can still here we are 32 years later, remember that feeling, and I just thought, I have found it. This is it.
No kidding.
I've been looking for all of these things to make my life feel good.
Yeah.
Even though I had a great family, even though, I knew, I accepted Christ, I had a relationship with God, even though I was kind of just drifting to my own, this, whatever I was searching for. But it was like the magic elixir. Girls now would like me. I felt 10 feet tall. I was whoever I wanted. And so began the journey.
Sounds like liquid courage. I've heard that term before. A lot like you have that first drink and you think, I've found my thing. And, alcohol is a starting point sometimes, and we'll get into that. But maybe gave you a little bit of courage you didn't have on your own. All of a sudden, hey, I'm actually somebody because now I've been invited into a group of people. Let's drink some alcohol, drink a beer. I've got more courage. Is that kind of what you were feeling at that moment?
Oh, yeah. It takes the edge off, takes the insecurity away, it helps bridge the gap to give you that, that buoyancy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't but a few days later, it's like, oh, we got to do that again. And I worked at McNary Golf Course.
Okay.
When I got a job there, I think when I was a junior, just backroom boy cleaning carts.
Yeah.
And there was a guy there that played, and I kind of built a relationship with him. And somehow I talked him into buying me a fifth of vodka.
Sweet.
And we were off and running, man. It was all downhill from there.
Wow. So you were probably a sophomore or junior, 16?
Yep.
Okay. Started drinking a little bit. And we're heavily influenced at that age, right? We're looking for something. We're trying to be our own guy.
Yeah.
You've got a great foundation with mom and dad, but you're still trying to find who you are, what's important to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, on that journey.
And, for me, I was so, I was starving to be liked.
Yeah.
Not loved, because I was loved at home, Sure, I mean,
sure.
I was starving for that peer recognition, to be, to have people think I was cool, fit in, be in that certain, and so that that really, I think, led me to do a lot of things.
Yeah,
experiment with drugs and alcohol. I love drugs and alcohol. Be cruel to other kids that were a little more awkward because people would laugh maybe and that would make me feel better. Just all of these things that kind of promote me feeling good or getting attention from other people or acceptance.
Yeah. So you're in high school, you're doing a little alcohol, that leads into drugs.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, it was just, pot followed quickly after, and that began a pretty regular remedy.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of alcohol, a lot of weed for a little while, and then I graduated, and I think I was 18, and so began the meth.
Yeah.
That summer.
So meth began after that.
Yeah,
that summer.
right there. I mean, back then it was called crank. That was 30 years ago, and
yeah.
it's virtually the same thing, just different. And the next 2 years turned into, it was just a tornado. Wow. I went from just a dabbling, doing a little bit of pot, and to Friday nights I'm snorting lines, and then it's become an obsession, and then it's a daily thing, and then I'm living at a house where guys are slinging dope, and it just took control in a matter of just a short period of time and destroyed my life. So I'm hanging out with criminals. I have nothing. I'm trying to put on a front to my parents.
And your mom and dad have no idea at this point in time?
Well, because I was living at home, but I was kind of not living at home. There was this wedge that was driving between us, and it was like, fine, if you're not going to be here, you're gone. And I just kind of, and they knew something was going on, and it was just super toxic.
Yeah.
So I just continued down that path, and I got into a group of friends that were heavy drug users, and that's just what we did for a few years. And
So after high school, have you ever gone to college at that point in time? What'd you do for a job? What'd that look like?
I worked at John's Car Wash here in Keizer. I
know John well. John's a good dude.
Yeah, so I got out of high school and thought, what? I was a horrible student. I didn't like school.
Yeah.
I just didn't try, and I'm going to take some time off, and that was just my way of saying I'm going to not go to college to mom and dad, you know. And I just got a job, and I worked there for a year and a half while I could just exist, try to exist, I guess.
Right. Okay, so you do that for a while. You're working some odd jobs, probably doing some drugs for a while. At what point in time do you began a career with, because you've been with Duncan for a long time? So what'd that look like?
Yeah, let me fill in the blanks for that period of time, I was just I guess the train was coming off the tracks really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going 90 miles an hour at a brick wall. I was using every day. I was, staying up for 7-8 days at a time. I wasn't eating. I was 110 pounds probably. And I remember we were driving down Portland Road, and me and 3 guys, I was driving my car. It was like 10 o'clock. We were gonna go bowling.
Okay.
At the other bowling alley.
Okay.
And right there where I think OSP used to be, across from AMPM Mini Market, cop lit us up, and it's like, oh my gosh, and pull over, car full of guys, car full of drug addicts, car full of drugs. The guy in the back has a weapon, and it's like everybody's panicking, and we're hiding, and it was just, pandemonium.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a guy that stands up to the cops and has I'm freaking out like I'm in real trouble,
Yeah.
I don't have that like cowboy tough attitude at that point in time. And long story short, I get arrested, I find the drugs, I go to jail that night. My friend Steve, who's in the back, he tries to run, and it just turns into a fighting with. It was a horrible situation, and I got out the next day because I had a spotless record. I mean, and I had a court date and everything, and I just didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my parents. My friends knew, and that was it. And I had this court date that was looming. Like, I'm getting closer and closer, and it's like, somebody you would think you'd kind of get ready or do something, but I just, I called like the day before, like, what do I need to do? What do I need to show up? And it was like they didn't have any record of me being there that day. So it was just totally bizarre. Like, I can't even figure out like the details. And there was a bunch of situations like that where we got pulled over by the cops another time, just being stupid, very close to proximity to that time. And, for some reason, I got through that without like ending up in prison. And it wasn't too far after that I was just like totally broken. Like broken. I can't go on. I can't quit using drugs. I'm strung out. I don't know what to do. I hate everything, and I'm so empty. And I for some reason, I went home. I never went home, but I went home this morning, and my mom meets me at the door. And my mom is, one of those women that, she's an identical triplet.
Really?
Totally cool. Totally crazy. Weird, just like, and they look exactly the same. And she just told me that she loved me, and her and dad loved me. And she started reading she wrote some, God put something on her heart the night before. Yeah. She started writing it down and started reading me this. And I think it was I don't remember even what it was, but it was some passages, some scripture somewhere. And it was just like, I went in and I just felt loved, and like I got to get out of this life. And so, I was gonna, I moved back home, and things just, I hit a real bottom. I was just, I had a girlfriend through this whole period of time that I thought I cared a lot about, and I always hid the drugs from her. And she would find out, and and she found out again right in this period of time and left. And it was, for me, I was 19, and it was like, all of this stuff was happening. My world, I couldn't get clean, and I just hit this bottom with so much pain, which it was so good for me.
Oh yeah,
pain is good.
Pain is good.
And without the pain, there's no mechanism for change. So I was in this dark place of with a lot of pain and regret. And I flew out to my mom's sister's house, who lives in Denver, Westminster, and just to get away from the Salem Keizer, just.
And you must have had a close relationship with her. You wouldn't just randomly,
Yeah, she's always been close. She's always been like my, a champion for me, just from the stands, cheering for me, loving me. She was always there for me. Her name is Debbie. So I went to Aunt Deb's house, and I stayed there for a month. Yeah, and her son Grant was young back then, and him and I love him. And I just got away, and I can still remember. I slept. It's what's now her office. There was a bedroom there. I slept in there. There was, and I think before I left, I went up to and I went to a church service. Portland Christian Center.
Yeah.
My dear friend Rodney Wright, who was my youth pastor at Westgate, which is now Family Life Church.
Okay.
He was here. He moved up to Portland, and I have another good buddy that was going up there. So before I left to go to Colorado, they're like, "You need to come up here and come to youth group." And I remember I went up there, and it was just like this, 50 kids, worship, sing, and it was like I'd been in that place of pain, and I just felt it was God's presence,
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, this is awesome. And I ended up going away to Deb's house, and I just started reading. There was a Bible in that room.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah. And I started reading Proverbs. I didn't know what, and it was like, whatever day it was on, I just started kind of going through that for that month I was there, and something just started happening in my life. And, God just transformed my life over the next couple of months. I got super plugged into church with Rodney and my buddy Nathan Carnes this went on for a couple of years. I mean, I was like, God radically changed. I never went back. I didn't go to recovery. I didn't go to treatment. I just had a touch from the Lord.
Amen.
And it was like there was a new Nate.
A new and improved Nate.
New and improved Nate.
Okay, so then the question is, we still have this thing called this sin nature. We still have flesh. Still wants to do what it wants to do. Did you ever relapse and go back to the old Nate?
Yeah, so, I really felt that I wanted to go into ministry and, do some. I mean, I was just there was a couple of years where I was just totally on fire for God, building His kingdom, being involved with youth group. We were going on missions trip. It was awesome, fired up, excited about life and what God was doing. And so I went to Multnomah Bible College for a year.
You did? I did not know that.
I did.
Pastor Nate.
Yeah, and I think I was maybe 21 when I was there. And, I was up, I interned at our church up there, and I was just really plugged in and turned 21. I mean, what does that mean?
Well, I know what that means for me.
Yeah, I'd never been in a bar. And I remember we went to Old Chicago. It used to be downtown.
Yeah.
It was now it's the Masonry Grill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was just, there was this energy in there, and it was like, interesting. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And everybody's drinking, and I had no plan on drinking or anything. And before long, a couple, I don't even remember what it was. It was like, oh, hello, I'm back. Yes, this is a feeling that's vaguely familiar. And, little would I know that over the next, 7-8 years, that one little sliver of something that I let in would create a cascading event that would lead me nearly to death. So, as I go on with the story, this isn't something that happens all the time. I leave and I go, oh, God, I'm feeling convicted. This isn't good. Go back, go on with life, no big deal. And then I finished school. I was working construction. I got a job. One thing I did want to connect the dots on, that year before I went to Multnomah, I got my first job in construction.
Yeah.
And I worked for, I actually got a job for a guy here in town, and that's where I met Rich. Rich worked there.
Oh,
and
no way. That's
Rich worked there, and this was in 96. And I got a job packing lumber, man, making $6 an hour, and worked for a guy who taught me how to work hard. And that's where I met Duncan.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
We kind of stayed together. So when I had come back from Multnomah that year, it's like, I'm going to go to Chemeketa, do another year. I was going to Chemeketa, and Rich was working for another company here in town, and I looked him up, and I started working there. And so we've just had this parallel relationship path through other companies over the last 30 years, and became tight, I mean, it was more than just he was the guy, project manager, and I was the guy holding the other end of the tape measure.
right.
And so I was going to Chemeketa, I was working for them, and that went on for about another year, and I thought, I really do want to go into ministry, and this is still a passion for me. I don't know what that looks like. And my buddy Rodney's like, hey, you should check out Bethany College down in Santa Cruz. I went there, and Rodney was my youth pastor. We're still dear friends.
Yeah.
He married me. He called me yesterday. He's just in fact, he's a guy you're going to have on this podcast.
Dude, I'd love to.
He's got an awesome story. So we went down for a wedding. And I was like, this is cool. This is awesome. It's like, this little town, Scotts Valley, kind of this right outside of Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And, so I quit my job, applied, packed up, I bought a convertible Mustang, loaded up and drove to Santa Cruz.
Wow.
And the journey began down there, and it was so awesome. It was like, I got away. Those 2 years, they were super special because it was just something I'll never do again, obviously. Yeah. But the environment, we were surfing, we were going to the beach. I met some friends. Are you
mid-20s, late 20s by this age?
I think I was, I would say I was 20. See, I graduated from there in 2000. So that was...
So 7 years after you graduated from high school?
Yeah, so I was, 25.
25, okay, yeah. Perfect, yeah.
24, 25, somewhere around there. And still had this plan that I was going to go on and, do ministry, do something. I was getting into music. I was speaking at different places, and we had some guys that we were going around doing stuff, and it was just awesome. And I'd still go out every once in a while, and it'd be like, oh, let's go out to secret Nate would creep in. And, the rails weren't coming off. It was just, hey, hit the bar, have a few cocktails, kind of be secretive because we can't be doing. We were at a private school.
Yeah.
That's a no. That's like, is anybody going to see us?
Right.
And, for the other couple of guys, it was like, this is just something kind of stupid. For me, it was more, you are Jekyll and Hyde, because it's fanning the flame on a dragon that's just asleep,
It's an interesting analogy, yeah. Absolutely.
And he's ready to come up and take over and destroy.
And he's done it in the past.
Yeah.
For all of us, by the way, Nate, you're not the only guy here, right?
So, I go on through school, and I end up graduating. And my senior year, one of our, I can't even remember her role at the school, but this couple, great couple, David Lynn Willis, I was like, hey, you know anybody that needs, because we were leading worship and just doing fun things at different churches around there.
That's right, you play guitar.
Yeah, not really anymore, but back in the day,
I've seen you play.
Used to. And they're like, hey, yeah, there's this church down in Scotts Valley, or not Scotts Valley, San Ramon, East Bay, about an hour from there, that it's a startup church. My sister and brother-in-law go there. They actually need a youth pastor. Because, it's like 200 people. They're meeting in a movie theater. So I went down there and thought, okay, that'd be kind of fun. And we hit it off, and before long they hired me. So I'm driving down there. We're setting up. We're doing youth stuff, and just bringing some of the guys down from school, and playing music down there, and so we launched this youth program, and I'm traveling around, speaking at camps, and doing different stuff. And first year was pretty awesome, and I graduated and moved down there, but I'm still having these little episodes, and it's not anything catastrophic, but in my heart, it's like, I know this is like, I'm in a dangerous place. And, it progresses, and then it progresses more over the next year. And we do some great stuff while we're there. Start this youth program. We go to Mexico. We do some missions trip. We're building this program. We're meeting at we're actually, because there's no building. The church meets at the movie theater on Sundays, and we were doing youth services at a junior high there, and I got to a really good place where it's like I'm not having any of these what I would call an episode, where it's like, oh, drive to San Francisco and go to the club and kind of get crazy for a night. And crazy then was just go out and start drinking again. Drugs had not re-entered my life.
Okay.
And, I went a long time with 3 or 4 or 5 months, and I was like, I'm done with this. And I can remember the night. It was my friend's birthday. We went out, we all started drinking again, and that was the day that it all changed for me. We went to San Francisco. We met some people. The alcohol started becoming a daily thing, and then I'm starting to go over to the city on a regular basis. And I have this, youth pastor by day.
Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll and Hyde, and it was this, such shame and guilt and. I met a girl at that. Me and a guy were at this club, and it was just toxic. And so I start driving over the city. So I'd leave and I'd drive over this bridge.
Yeah,
and it just became this perpetuating addiction. Like I go over there and cut loose and and then I'd come back and I'd have to put on this show and this and then it wasn't too long after that. Then the drugs came, and then the cocaine, and then I found a dealer there, and the rails started falling off really quick, and so I finally fessed up, and it was like everybody knows there's something wrong with Nate.
Okay,
and my pastor, the guy, his name's Doug Heisel. Just an amazing man.
Yeah.
Where most would throw aside, especially in the church. I mean, the church does a good job, I think, of, there are a lot of things that are different levels of sin, whether it's pornography or whether it's, but that wasn't the way he was. He really cared for me and loved me. And in spite of that, I couldn't escape the addiction that I was in. I just kept spiraling out, and I told the board, and that was a scary, scary time. And long story short, my season there came to an end. I finally just said, I got to resign. I packed up all my stuff and drove home, and stopped at the Assemblies of God offices there in San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
Said, man, I'm a mess. I'm a drug addict. Kind of spilled the beans out there, and drove home.
Amen.
And, I got home and immediately just jumped into what I was comfortable with, and that was whatever I could do to numb the pain of the shame and the regret.
Yeah.
Because I felt like a piece of crap. Everything that I thought that I was passionate about, I replaced with something that was so ugly. And I spun out, man. I hit it hard. Wasn't long after that I started shooting dope, and I was introduced to the needle, and that was like changed everything.
Yeah. So you've now moved back home with mom and dad.
Yeah.
You're with mom and dad, mid to late 20s, shooting
meth.
Meth. Yeah.
Meth. Yeah. And it's out of control. I obviously I don't have a job. I don't have anything. I'm stealing. I'm doing whatever I can do, to get a bag.
Yeah.
And I remember it was Thanksgiving, and maybe a day or two before that, I took my dad's hunting rifles and went down to the pawn shop and sold them. And my dad is a no nonsense man. I mean, like, you don't.
Well, it shows the desperation of being a drug addict, how much you think that you need that. You're willing to do whatever it takes, selling dad's guns, pawning them off. You'll do anything.
Yeah, so I had driven down there, and I was I got arrested right outside the pawn shop because I was driving erratic. And I ran in and I sold one, and for some reason they wouldn't take the other one. And I ran out and I have a gun in one hand. My car is out there with the door open, and the cops tackle me.
Seriously.
And it was crazy. I can remember laying there on the ground outside of right there. Really, it's in front of the old the new Isaac's coffee shop, there at the old pawn shop. Laying down on the concrete and just going, wow, this is not how I thought my life was going to end up.
Yeah.
But that didn't make any difference. I went in and out and just continued to spiral out. And a couple of days later, it was Thanksgiving, and Mom and Dad, knew that I was using. They didn't know to what degree, and it was just it was so toxic at home because they're trying to protect me, trying to not get me to leave. I don't want to be there. I really want to be out getting high. And I'm trying to eat and I remember I was sitting on the couch at Thanksgiving. My dad was going to go hunting the next day, bird hunting. And so he was getting his stuff, and I could hear the door open in the closet, and I was like, oh.
So he doesn't know the guns are gone.
He doesn't know the guns are gone.
Ooh.
Now, these aren't the guns that he's going to take because he's going pheasant hunting the next day, but they're all kind of in the same closet.
He's going to say, hey, there's something going on here. Okay.
And I'm sitting there eating, and I just knew, and he goes, where are my deer rifles? And he knew, and I told him, and all hell broke loose. It was ugly, that I had kind of withered away to this place where I was willing to do anything or hurt anyone, even those closest to me. And it was super combative, not that we were fighting and punching, but it was not pleasant. It was ugly. And, my dad didn't know how to help me. He's the kind of guy that you want to stop something, you just, dang it, you stop.
Just make a decision.
Knock it off.
Okay.
And, I was going to keep shooting dope no matter what. No matter. I mean, it didn't. The love for that was far greater than anything else, and the obsession. I would go to sleep with it on my mind, and I would wake up. Got to have it. And it was just a couple more 2 or 3 months went by. I'd shoot too much dope in the bathroom and be keeled over, and it was just track marks on my arms, and it was out of control.
Wow. Hey, let's transition though. Let's because there's a good story here. This is where I want to get to the good stuff. I mean, man, Nate, my heart goes out to you. And a lot of people that they get addicted to drugs and they want to quit and they can't. They don't have the willpower, the means to do it.
Yeah. So
let's transition to how'd you meet this lady, Amika? Before we transition there, you've been clean and sober for how long?
When we met?
Not when you met, just as of today. How long have you been?
Today I've been clean and sober 15 years. I just got my 15-year coin. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
There's a light at the end of this tunnel, even though it's a heavy story, but God's grace is sufficient. Nate, I want to hear, how'd you meet Amika? Did marriage change kind of your trajectory, and how did that influence you? Because you've been married 16 years, so you're a year into being married, probably still doing some stuff, but then how did that, I want to hear getting married and the transition.
Yeah, I would say, I had a year clean and sober. Let me back up to that.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
A couple of years before that, you mentioned Teen Challenge. I was at the end.
Yes.
I went into Teen Challenge. Thought this is going to save me.
Right.
Did that for a year. Got out of there in 2023. Went to work for Rich.
2003.
Sorry, 2003.
Yeah.
Went to work for Rich because we had already had the connection. That was right when he opened up shop. I was getting out. I had a clean start, and started work there and worked there. I think I started there in spring of 2003, and work was good. I was getting back into a groove, but I started some of the same habits. Mm-hmm. And then I met my wife in 2005.
Okay.
So a couple of years later, and through this time, I'm doing good, not doing good, doing good, not doing good. That kind of thing. Build the house up, tear it down. Build the house up, tear it down. And I was doing a job downtown, and I called because I needed some window film. And this lady answered the phone, who Pro Tint, I think was it. And she's like, oh, she sounds kind of cool. And it was my wife's mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Julie, who's like totally awesome. And I was like, oh, she also sounds kind of cute. Yeah, it's funny how you make this assumption by what somebody sounds like on the phone.
She's probably 27 and she's cute, but it's some now your mother-in-law.
I thought, okay, I'm going to drive over to their offices because I got to get this window and this film, and then here's Amika. She's working. She's 8 years younger than I am.
Okay,
she's working there at front desk, and we just connect, and it was. She was awesome. She was awesome, and she was like a breath of fresh air to me. I was in that mode of telling people I was getting sober and clean, and so that was important to her. The journey just kind of goes on with me going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until finally thinking, I'm getting some real sobriety, and I got about a year sober and clean. It's like, this is awesome. This has never happened. And I got plugged into AA, and so I'm going to some meetings. It was NA that I was going to then, and like, I'm going to get married. And so I think I had about 6, 8 months, 9 months, a year, somewhere around there. And I buy a ring. It's like, this is it. And we get engaged, and it was like this new chapter of life. But how many people know that just a girlfriend, a marriage, a new job, a new place doesn't necessarily bring freedom?
Not always.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But for me, it didn't, and the addiction was still there. And for some, I wasn't to the spot where I was really putting in the work in recovery. I experienced that early in life when I was just like totally set free, and now I just couldn't shake it. So we got married, and it was hard for her because for that first year of marriage, I was 30 days clean using, 30 days clean drinking, and it was ugly. And she's such an amazing woman because she I started drinking 2 days before our wedding. I had a year clean, sober, and it was ugly. Honeymoon. I mean, it was just, I'm not going to get into all the details.
No need to,
but it was so hard for her, and the stuff that I put her through in that period of time. And, most people, she's only 22.
Yeah. Is she a believer at this point in time? She grew up in church, didn't grow up in church?
A little bit. There was, neither one of us were really on the, we were far from God, I would say, but still that foundation is there. But I would get reconnected to God when I was trying to get sober.
Yeah. Or when the pain was too much, okay, get clean and sober, feeling good, go back to the habits.
So that first year of marriage, it was just tough, and I put her through hell. Yeah. And she pulled up her bootstraps and made it happen.
A little come to Jesus meeting with
I remember. I had got back from a fishing trip over at the coast, and I was back on it again, and she packed her bags and left, and I was like, oh, okay, this is not cool. Yeah. And so I'll just fast forward over the next 6 months of marriage. It was just that same story, clean up, go back, clean up. I just couldn't get it. I'm going to meetings. Right. I met my buddy Gabe, who's a dear friend of mine, and we've been on this journey since high school. He had gotten sober and clean, and he in 2004 had invited me to this AA meeting that they do at my buddy Brent's office. Yeah. And I went there, and I was going there every week, but I still couldn't get it. I'd get 30 days, and I'd collapse, and I'd be back out doing dope again, and they tell this story that they were kind of preparing for Nate's funeral. because they didn't think I was going to make it. They didn't think I was going to live through this. And that was kind of the consensus among the group. Hey, we need to really prepare that Nate may not be back.
But you didn't know that
on this earth.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I got to do something. My wife had left me again. When I say she went to her parents' house, and I went into treatment again. Yeah. And I was going to do I did outpatient at Serenity Lane, and I started going to these meetings I started reading the big book, and I was getting plugged into recovery, and I thought, I'm really going to give my all to this, because I always, I'd had sponsors and people. I'd always kind of tried to take the easier, softer way. Yeah. And I'd drink and use every day, but I couldn't go to a meeting every day. Are you crazy? That's too intense.
Yeah. Come on, I can't use if I'm going to meetings.
Yeah. So, I just dove in, and something special happened. I got a sponsor, an old guy named Bruce, and he was, I just dove into recovery, and stuff started happening, man. And God started his plan in recovery, in my support group that I was building with those guys. My wife got pregnant in that time. I graduated from Serenity Lane. I just jumped in, and there's some stuff in the big book that talks about the promises when you really dig in, and I just begin to see these little promises coming true. And my life just started to slowly take shape again. And all this time I'm working for Duncan, and who is, by the way, he was instrumental in my life, especially in those early years, because this story that I described, I was employed with him, and it was not pretty. Yeah. Because he knew I was talented at what I did, but it was that Jekyll and Hyde. All of a sudden, a train wreck would come, and where most employers would throw you aside, he just continued to love on me and believe in me.
I hear a theme a lot, like your parents, rather than judge you, they loved you. When you came home, your mom was loving on you rather than judging you. Your pastors down in California loved on you. Rich Duncan loved on you. There's a theme here, Nate. I'm not sure if I'm getting this, but love is a really big theme here. How do we love on people to pull them out of whatever they're in? Because we all in something at some point in time. We all do.
Yeah. Yeah, love, that was, it just it kind of just reminds me of the prodigal son, and that's just how I always felt.
Yeah, I've been a prodigal son too. That Luke chapter 15. Yeah. You have so much, but yet we realize one day that the pigs are eating better than we are, and we finally go. But you said something, pain. Without pain, you can't. There's no change. I don't know what you said exactly, but it's earlier in the podcast. That's a great saying. I'm gonna go back and listen to it, because I think it's a mechanism for change. Pain is really the only mechanism for change. Well, God can change us, but He allows pain to happen in our lives.
Yeah, and that's something that we talk about in AA all the time, and we're all fired up to get sober. So many, when I say we, I mean me, the next alcoholic.
Totally.
When we're in the pain, it's like, I got to get, I'm going to lose my job. I lost my license, my wife, whatever it is. And the farther you get from the pain, the easier the next drink becomes. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing with AA or with alcoholism, drug addiction, is, the brain just, for some reason, get a little bit away from it. Doesn't seem as bad as it really was. Yeah. And I can go right back to eating out of the pig pen. And
well said.
So pain is a mechanism, and that helped me kind of jump in, but something else really took place, miraculously. I mean, this when you said that's a story of redemption, I mean, today I'm living in the bonus years, my friend. I mean, I got 15 years clean. I never thought I'd be free from drugs and alcohol. I never thought I'd have 2 years. I didn't think I'd live past 40. And I'm 48.
It's amazing,
I got 4 kids. I mean, I'm just not clean and just kind of surviving. Oh. My life has been totally redeemed. I have an amazing wife. Just that we're still married is miraculous.
It's a story of grace, I
got 4 kids that I love being a dad. Having kids really shows me the magnitude of God's love for me, even though I still can't grasp it. Just, when Maya was born, I was maybe a year clean and sober.
Yeah.
And that was another just catalyst for me. And like, it was so powerful. Yeah. I love childbirth, man.
Yeah.
I love kids. I mean, we have 4 kids, and it's like, they're lifeblood to me.
Yeah.
And we talk about everything. We talk about, they know my story. They know about drugs. They know about alcohol. They know why. And we keep it totally real at the Cooke house.
And imagine if all parents became real, not hiding their story, but actually telling their story to their kids so they can, you know what? You can choose what you want. And like I always tell my daughters, I said, hey, you can ask any question of me you want. I'll be completely transparent. Careful what you ask for because you might hear the truth. And you might, and really the reason why I want you to know is because you have the choice to do anything I've done. Yeah, I've been to jail, done drugs, done alcohol. You can do anything you want. Well, but Dad, I'm not going to do drugs or alcohol. I said, you know what? I know you say that, but when you're in the situation, when you're with friends and you have this peer pressure, if you don't choose in advance what you will do or not do, you might do those things. So here, I'm just here to help you make a better decision today so that when you get in those situations, you can make a wise decision.
Yeah.
It's your choice. You get to live with all the good or the bad, the consequences of both, and I'll be praying for you. And, just teaching my girls scripture and letting God do the work in our kids' lives is amazing.
That's awesome.
As we transition, we're gonna wrap up here in just a couple moments, Nate. The story that you share is, I didn't know that. I didn't know this about Nate. I knew a lot about Nate. I didn't know this story. It's humbling to see what God is doing in your life. What I see you today, like I told you yesterday, is I see you on Facebook. The thing I like most about it is you always have one of your kids with you, or your wife, or you're singing songs with your daughter, or your kids at Christmas time. I've seen them all.
Yeah.
And that is pure joy. That is not fake. It's real. That brings me joy because Nate is living a transparent, transformed life today. What does the next 5 or 10 years look like for you, Nate? Do you have goals and dreams that maybe you and Amika want to do? Do you travel a lot? And then let's wrap up with some positive, man. Like, put a bow on this little story about Nate, and what does God place on your heart today?
Yeah, I would say, I kept, for so long, I was wondering, well, I had this cloud of shame and regret, even when I had a 5, 6, 7, 8 years of sobriety from the past, and finally God just removed that from me, having a freedom from just continuing to live in worry about what I had done for so long. And, today I just am really trying to just be in the moment of each day. I'm noticing and seeing life go by me faster than it's ever been. My daughter's going to be gone to college in 3 years. So I'm trying to just be the best dad I can, enjoy them, be with my family. Like I said, my life is better than I deserve. I can't even fathom where I am, what I have. And I'm just not talking about material things. When I say my life is so rich, I'm not talking about money and economics.
How cool your truck is and how much money you make.
Exactly.
Much deeper than that.
That's all second. I have so many things that are bringing so much meaning from kids and family to going hunting and seeing my son catch his first fish last year. And that's the stuff that really matters. What's hard for me, what I didn't share in this, and that's for another story, is just I got to try to stay healthy. I can obsess about work. That's the new addiction.
Yeah.
Deals, money, and those, and I can immerse myself into that. So I have to really, really try to focus on what's really important.
Yeah. And maybe we'll have you on another podcast down the road because I want to hear that story because I get you. I know a little bit of that story, but we'll uncover that maybe down the road. What does that new addiction look like? Because, the word says to trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll make your path straight. Or cast all your cares on me because I care for you. Oh, those are great words. But now applying those to my life and your life, we want to control things.
Yeah.
And part of the addiction is we think we're in control. Reality is, I'm not in control, nor are you. And if we could spend a moment on that and realize that God is in control of our lives, He's got it all. We just have to seek Him and follow Him. And that's my journey too, bro. Just like Camden here too. I mean, it's his journey. It's everybody's journey is making sure God is on the throne, not Buddy, not Nate.
Yeah.
And, well, brother, I just want to say this, man. It's Good Friday. We serve the same Lord. I love you, man.
He is risen.
He is risen. I love your story. I love that God's grace is sufficient for you and Amika and your family, and what you and I on our own could destroy. What was meant for evil, God meant for good.
Yeah.
And He works all things for the good, right? We know that. And your life is a story of redemption. You can't do it on your own. It's surrendering to Him and surround yourself with people that are like you, because a lot of times it's like, hey, tell me who your 5 friends are and I'll tell you how your life will work out, because the birds of the feather flock together.
You bet.
And so you have a new group of friends, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Now, could you now go back in the bar and maybe go minister to some people? Possibly. You may or may not want to do that. I don't know, but we'll cross that bridge later. But how does somebody reach out to you? I mean, you have a really profound story, whether it's new construction, building a commercial building. I mean, you guys have an amazing brand. Duncan Construction is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
truly. The brand is not, hey, there's a building, but it's bigger than that. But somebody else reach out to you, Nate, to learn more about, commercial construction, or to learn about what marriage is like after redemption, or how to get through drugs or alcohol addiction. How would they contact you? What's the best way?
I would say just look me up on Facebook or Instagram and message me. Anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody that feels that there is no hope, that drugs and alcohol have taken over, that you're battling addiction.
Yeah.
That I would just say that no one is too far to experience freedom and redemption.
Yeah. And based upon your life or my life or somebody's life, we can sometimes think that we're too far off.
Yeah.
We're too far away. God could never redeem me. And dude, I got to tell you, you have a beautiful story. No, it wasn't beautiful. What's beautiful is that God redeemed you out of your muck and mire, eating with the pigs.
Eating with the pigs, man.
So, brother, man. Well, hey, bless you. Bless your family this Easter weekend. I can't wait till this podcast airs live. It's going to affect somebody. I don't know who. God knows. So, anyway, I just want to say thanks for you listeners out there. Listen to us every week on Conversation with Buddy. It's a real privilege to bring these testimonies to you. I love hearing the stories. I'm changed and transformed by these stories as well. So I hope you are as well. Lord bless you. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much.